The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by Mayfield Braden Spine.
Morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Happening in Health. We are so grateful you are joining us for a full hour of hope and healing. Got a great show planned for you today, beginning with the team that is celebrating nurses. This is some video of one of Mount St. Joe's nursing training labs, and we've had the privilege of following some of their work. We want to welcome Dr. Darla Vail. She is the Dean of the College of Health Sciences there. And Piper Coleman is here. She's a nurse who recently won an award for outstanding leadership in our community. Going to be telling you all about it. Plus, after battling addiction for years, a man has created a national program to help other families. It started in our community, and we want to welcome Dawn Satterwhite and Brian Spears. They are with Crossroads. They're going to share more on the resources in our community that are available at no cost to you to help promote health and healing. But first, quick headline for you today. It is a myth that firm mattress when you sleep is better for beating back pain. Recent Spanish study actually showed people with ongoing general back pain who slept on a medium firm mattress hurt less and were able to move better than those who slept on a firm mattress. Of course, we're all different, so you still may need to see what works for you if you are struggling with back pain. Our top story today is in Hope You Know, which is what we hope you know about your mental health each week. A warning about the use of marijuana from addiction specialists at the Lindner Center of Hope. They warn us that even if it's legal, it doesn't mean you can't get hooked or have side effects. Emergency medicine providers tell us they are seeing a common trend right now. They see young people coming in with what they call psychotic episodes from smoking weed. One of those is called scromiting, and the term is when someone screams and violently vomits simultaneously. Often goes on for hours. It's related to constant long-term cannabis use, sometimes from very strong marijuana that you may not even know you're taking in.
You know, back in the day, our dad or mom's marijuana was like 3 to 5%. And every decade, it's gone up. So now when you just go to a regular, dispensary, it could be 15 to 20% THC.
That's Dr. Chris Toole of the Lindner Center of Hope. If you'd like to reach him or another provider, 513-536-4673 is a hotline there to get help. Also topping this half hour, listen to this. If you have diabetes, you are twice as likely to have hearing loss compared to those who don't. It appears this condition that raises blood sugar levels also damages blood vessels and nerves in the inner ear, making regular hearing screenings essential for those with diabetes. All right, just ahead, our donor of the week. We caught up with this person at the Cincinnati Cyclones blood drive. We'll hear why they choose to give the gift of life. And we can't wait to meet Piper and Darla. Both are amazing nurses who inspire others along the way. It's all next on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Life Enriching Communities and Hawksworth.
Welcome back, everybody, to our donor of the week. And this person's been donating blood and platelets for about 10 years. We want to introduce you to Joe Waltz from Greendale, Indiana. He recently took part in a blood drive that was hosted by the Cincinnati Cyclones at Heritage Bank Arena. Waltz said based on his blood type, Hawksworth staff encouraged him to donate platelets as opposed to just whole blood. And he usually donates several times throughout the year. He says he feels good about helping others.
It's really an easy process, just takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth the investment. I'm just glad that for time I could be wasting watching TV, I'm actually maybe able to help somebody who needs it.
Hawksworth has a special appeal for platelet donors through the end of the year. If you donate 4 times in this time period, and remember, you can donate platelets every 2 weeks, you'll get 2 free tickets to a Cyclones hockey game. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can call 513-451-0910. You can also schedule online or through the Hawksworth app. And we also have a link at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, on now to our wonderful friends in Ask a Nurse. It is a pleasure to have you back. Darla Vail, remind us who you are and what you do.
Oh, thank you, Liz. So I'm Darla Vail. I'm the Dean of the School of Health Sciences at Mount St. Joseph University.
No small job. So you recruit, you promote, the need for nurses continues to grow.
Absolutely. They say now that almost 50% of nurses are over the age of 50, so there's going to be a wave of retirements in the next 10 years. So there's definitely going to be a nursing need.
All right, well, nothing like them giving you eternal job security, my
Right.
friend. Tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is Piper Coleman. I am a clinical education consultant at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and I've been there for over 20 years.
What does that mean? What do you do in that role?
So in that role, one of the things that I do is I help develop and implement education that is more from an enterprise level. So if there's education that needs to go out that is more than just one department, one side of care, then usually I'm involved to kind of help get that message out. And then how do we assign it? How do we get it done? How do we make sure that people understand it in practice?
So do you love now that nurses are in so many more roles than just, clinical immediate care?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the benefits of being a nurse, because you can come in and be a bedside clinician, but if one day law strikes you, you can go into law. If you want to be education, you can do education as well. So there's so many opportunities in nursing. It's just great.
We love that. Well, the reason that Piper's here with Darla is that I had the privilege of introducing you recently as one of our Leadership Award winners.
Yes.
We have some photos of that, but Darla, tell us about the Leadership Awards, what they are, what they bring to the community, how Piper got there.
Okay, great. So, the Mound has had a nursing program for almost 100 years, and one of our goals is to develop caring, competent leaders. So about 30 years ago, we said we are just blessed to have so many amazing nurse leaders in our community. So we started the Leadership in Nursing Awards program, and we have 4 awards: the Distinguished Nurse Educator, Administrator, Researcher, and Lifetime Achievement.
So Piper won
Yes.
for education.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
So let's talk about this a little bit. It's one thing to give immediate care, but if you don't have the tools or the information to go beyond that, you haven't really done your job, have you?
You haven't.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important from an education lens, because you not just care for one patient or your patient assignment for that shift, you are influencing the nurses that are caring for multiple patients, multiple shifts, and multiple departments. So education just expands how much we care and how much we deliver what we do.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we joked you were Miss Personality that night. You are just really passionate about what you do. Tell me where that passion comes from.
I've had the gift of compassion for so long, from as long as I can remember. It's just been in me, and I just absolutely love it. I love the fact that when people are at their most vulnerable state, they allow us to come in and take care of them and give them knowledge and maybe be a shoulder to cry on or information that they need. Like, it's a special place that nurses have, and I just enjoy it so much.
Well, you know what? It comes across in who you are and how you care. We have a little video. We went to Mount St. Joe to see how you train some of the next generation coming in. And I wonder, what do you look for in some of these students that, she might have, because I know you sort of emphasize the whole person.
Right. So we want students who this is not just going to be a job, it's going to be a career, and for many it's a calling, because we want people who will really treat people with care, compassion. They have to be competent and know their skills, but much more so they have to really support and care for people, and I think that makes the difference.
So the question I always wonder is, do you think that that's taught, or you think that's sort of in you?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's in you, but it also life experiences can bring that on as well. So it's not always just what you're born with. Just as life and you progress, things can happen, and all of a sudden that care, that nurture just kicks in, and you can't shake it. So then you just nursing is where it's supposed to be, because it's just there. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, that's probably true. And you always say it's a calling. How come?
Right. Well, it's just because it's from the heart. I mean, you can't just nurse with your head. It's definitely the heart, the hands. I mean, like you said, it's the whole package.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of have to mentor the next group coming in because there is such a shortage of nursing. How is that going?
It's wonderful. I have a team, we all work together when it comes down to educating new hires and new nurses. It's not just me, it's a bunch of us. So we work together, and then we pull from the strengths of each other. We kind of see everybody learns a little differently. So if there's somebody that comes in that learns one way, maybe somebody speaks to them a different way, and it kind of just meets that need, and it just kind of just builds our community. So we absolutely love what we do.
You know, that's the best promotion, I guess, for the next generation of nurses. But we have a link to you. How do they find you if someone's interested in your program, that kind of thing? And I know you're sort of in a kind of a year-round enrollment. Yeah.
Right. So if they just go to msj.edu, our website, then you'll see the multiple opportunities for continuing your education, both in nursing but in the other healthcare fields as well.
Yeah. Well, we love what you do. We wanted to make sure we acknowledge the award winners, and we're
Thank
grateful
you.
to acknowledge you. So thank you for what you do. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Yes.
But I know you sort of just take it as this is what I do every day. Huh?
That's what I do every day. I absolutely love it. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's truly an honor for Mount St. Joseph to, give me this award. Also an honor for me to be here to speak to you. And hopefully, the listeners just kind of maybe gravitate and pull into nursing and just want to be. I appreciate Cincinnati Children's for giving me the opportunity to grow in my career. So it's just been great. But thank you.
Well, God bless you both. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
All right, just ahead, healthy diversity, we call it. New report on just where Ohio falls when it comes to stress eating states. Plus, we want to welcome our guests from Crossroads. Dawn and Brian are going to join us. They're here to talk about health and healing and where we can all find support if we're struggling. Stay with us on what's happening in health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Miami University, the Vein Center of Cincinnati, and Lindner Center of Hope.
In healthy diversity today, the danger of using food to manage stress. Yes, we've all done this. A new analysis by My Body Tutor, as it's called, lists the states most vulnerable to stress eating. The report considered mental health, obesity rates, availability of fast food. Louisiana was the worst state, but Ohio ranked number 2. Indiana came in 9th. Weight loss experts say food cannot solve your emotional problems, but our brains sort of think we can when, we're eating and not stopping. If you do eat when you're not hungry, they say that's a warning sign you may be a stress eater. So what a wonderful transition to our group that can talk about group support for all kinds of things, from addiction to managing your family. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Brian Spears. I'm a guidance director at Crossroads Church.
The guidance director. So what does that involve?
Well, anytime families deal with emotional or spiritual crisis, or individuals, I help to provide pathways for them to find healing and support. That includes groups and individual care.
Wonderful. Well, Crossroads is here because we're teaming up, and you're part of this team as well that manages health and healing.
Yeah. I'm Dawn Satterwhite, and I'm an assistant director of care at Crossroads, and I have responsibility for celebration of life services and home and hospital visits, and also talk appointments I do with Brian as well.
So it's wonderful to hear that, because we're clearly covering body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
You have things that go on with the physical body and things that go on in the family. And just to sort of set up a little bit about the kind of groups that they run, we want to tell you about a gentleman who said after years of struggling with an addiction, he is now using his life experience to help other families. He's a husband and a father who really sort of created a program for sexual healing here and across the country. And he recently shared his story with us in hopes that others will reach out. Watch this. It was really a desire for connection to someone or something that Chuck Moore told me eventually became a desire that got out of control.
I developed a lot of compulsive sexual behaviors, pornography, striptease joints, that became worse and worse over time, which they often do. And so finally, I realized my life was a complete disaster, about to fall off a cliff, and so I confessed it all to my wife.
Chuck and his wife Marty are still together years later, but at the time, in a desperate attempt to save his family of 4 young children,
I wandered around for 8 years until finally I found somebody who could begin to help me.
Much like Alcoholics Anonymous, he says he began a 12-step style program. As he healed, he realized, however, in most safe places, such as his home church here at Ohio's Crossroads, the subject was not considered safe to talk about.
And so I felt called and committed to create something that would help other men.
You see, Chuck says that's because this kind of an addiction is shrouded in secrecy. He felt like he was living a bit of a double life. He was a successful businessman and a Harvard graduate.
And at the same time, I was desperately alone.
And so the journey began. He started a weekly group here to help men stay accountable and connected to others. It's called Men's Healthy Sexuality.
People believe that the problem is the sex. It's the unwanted sexual behaviors.
The path to healing, he says, is in realizing you need healthy connections to others.
Until you get to that realization, so you wake up to how alone you are, then nothing else will work. In my experience, it did involve God, where I was able to really reconcile my life and invite God into it and get to a place of healing.
So there's a powerful story. They come to you in that crisis, and how can you help? What do you do?
Well, there are, along with Chuck's story, there are countless stories of people finding healing through community. What we try to pinpoint for people is you don't have to do this alone. And from everything from parents of addicted loved ones to the group that Chuck was talking about, NA, AA, as well as groups that directly deal with family issues, grief, and divorce. Through connecting with other people, it's crystal clear that that's the pathway to not only finding community, but also finding healing.
So why is that? Why does what makes a difference in being with others?
Well, being with other people, you get to hear that you're not alone. Most of, such as what Chuck was talking about, it takes place pretty much in just like a silo. You're alone and you keep it a secret. And once you find out you're not alone, you can connect with others and you can walk together. It makes a big difference to know that you're not alone in this struggle that you're going through.
Well, part of the reason that we teamed up with your team is that we know that the holidays can be a rough time for all of us. It's supposed to be wonderful and happy, and lots of us are feeling pain. And I know you have a list of groups. I want to just put up some of those and have you tell me a little bit about them. You clearly have the alcohol and narcotics and the sexual addiction, but you have something called like Beauty for Ashes and Divorce and Beyond. Tell me a little bit about those.
So Beauty for Ashes is a group, a healing group for women who have been through different types of maybe sexual trauma. And they may have carried this trauma for years. And this is a safe group led by women who have, I want to say, been there, done that. They've overcome some of the challenges that these other women are now facing. So there's a scripture that says, when you come through, go and strengthen somebody else. And so that's what they do. They come back once they've come through and they've overcome their own challenges. They come back and they strengthen someone else and help someone else to walk through. So Beauty for Ashes is about healing for women who have been through a number of different sexual traumas, rape, etc.
Wow, that's interesting because nothing is as powerful than someone understanding you.
That's right.
Which is, it's kind of sad to say that you know it. All right, and we have another short list, and a few of these I really found very interesting. A grief support. I know that PALS is the Parents of Addicted Loved Ones, the Post-Abortion Healing, and Real Marriage. Which of those do you find people sort of really benefit? Well, all of them, but when people reach out to you, having a list like that does what?
When I look at this list, among all of our groups like Post-Abortion Healing is uniquely designed for women in really the most painful parts of their lives. And there are countless stories of women engaging in that group and coming out the other side, not only able to talk about it, reducing shame and guilt and realizing that they're loved, and they're loved by their Creator and by the people that they encounter at Crossroads and their community.
I think when I listen, what I hear is no judgment.
Yes. No
Judgment-free zone.
Yeah, and that's really powerful because you don't necessarily feel like you can tell your family or tell a friend without feeling some of that. These are all at no charge, correct?
No charge.
Correct.
You don't have to be a member. Crossroads welcomes anyone. It's an open door.
Well, we wanted to make sure we put the word out because a couple of these groups have like dinner meetings. Tell me about those before the group if you do want to participate in the next week or so.
Sure.
So there's Divorce and Beyond, and then Grief. For people who have gone through divorce, they've been through the classes, and they just want to get together and connect in community. Again, we go back to community, and just celebrate coming through and just being together through the holiday.
Yeah.
And then the one for grief recovery, if you've lost a loved one, the holidays are a very difficult time for you as a family, as a person. And so this is an opportunity for people to come together again in community and just talk about their loved one, not dismiss, but also celebrate just how good God is in the midst of it all and the community that surrounds them.
Yeah.
Well,
those
that's
dinners
it,
take
yeah.
place the first week of December.
And then the groups start in January.
And
Yes.
groups start in January, yeah.
Yeah.
And the dinners are, they're celebrations. I mean, they're heavy subjects, but the grief dinner is designed to celebrate the lost loved one, but also to connect, and it's a celebration. There are activities that elevate the participants, and then the divorce and beyond dinner is, it's just a lot of fun as people get together.
You know,
and enjoy
we
it.
could use a little more fun in our lives, so that's nice to hear that, because these are heavy subjects, but I appreciate
Yes.
you taking on the heavy subjects, because we don't know where to go often for that. Well, if you feel like you need a little fun or you need to be lifted up, we have links to these healing groups. We're also working on a special with you that airs Saturday. It's coming up at noon. We hope that you'll just set your DVR if you're not going to be home at that time, but you'll take a little time to watch it. We're going to continue this healthy conversation about finding the support you need with no judgment for some of the things that you heard about here. We are so grateful for what you do in the community, guys. Great to have you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you here. All right, there is a new way to detect a host of problems in babies. We're going to show you how in Healthy Innovations. And we welcome our guests from our local Ronald McDonald House. Sarah Curry is here with Elizabeth Paxson. So glad to have you guys in-house. They help sick children at the holidays. We'll explain how coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Network for Hope and William E. Hesch Law.
Welcome back, everybody. And you're so vain. If you're struggling with legs that hurt by the end of the day, you could have a common condition called chronic venous insufficiency. Here's Dr. Andy Hearn on how it presents.
And it usually presents as signs of skin changes on the legs, or swelling in the legs, or leg heaviness.
So if that sounds like you and you need to be treated, it's important to get a proper diagnosis. Usually they do that with the help of ultrasound, and you can treat it by reversing the blood flow if it's going the wrong way in the legs, sometimes with medicine and sometimes with what you see here, which is called radio frequency ablation. In most cases, a treatment, either one of those treatments will be covered by your medical insurance if you meet certain criteria. So if you'd like more information, 513-232-2400. You can reach Dr. Andy Hearn's office. In Healthy Innovations today, when it comes to giving babies the best start in life, spotting problems early can make all the difference. Researchers in the UK are now testing a new device. It lets doctors watch newborn brains in real time. These tiny caps allow doctors a unique look at how the brains are actually developing. And it's something that's a challenge with MRI scans for them to do this. But the cap, for many, can really test the things and show them information right in the crib. Researchers say it's the first time that light and ultrasound have been used together like this, and it does really improve the imaging.
The light system here measures the brain oxygenation, but it's limited to like the surface of the brain. And so that's why we combine it with the ultrasound that is able to look deeper.
Brain injury in newborns is a major reason for lifelong disability, making early detection crucial. Doctors say they hope the cap will one day monitor babies with known brain injuries and, cost permitting, screen newborns to catch problems early. All right, if you are taking those popular weight loss drugs, we have an important warning for you. And we want to introduce you to Allison Poling. Here's a familiar face. She's with the American Heart Association. We're so glad to have you back. She's going to share more about the organization's goals and what's needed in our community to save more lives.
The headline medical stories that affect you and your family. This is What's Happening in Health, sponsored by TriHealth.
Welcome back, everybody, to our second half hour here in What's Happening in Health. So glad you're staying with us today. helping families with sick children who are receiving treatment in the hospital. The Ronald McDonald House joining us today. They're going to share a little bit more about how they ease burdens for families who are often far away from home. Sarah Curry and Elizabeth Paxson in-house. They've got several ways we all can help support them as well during this busy holiday season. Nice to have you here. And the American Heart Association is focusing on what's called CERP. It stands for Cardiac Emergency Response Planning. Here with how that helps save lives, we're going to welcome Allison Poling. She's going to share more on their educational partnerships. These are powerful ways they team up with individual businesses in our community. We're going to see what they do at the Reds Youth Academy. Great to have you back, Allison. But first, quick headline for you. Doctors at TriHealth are seeing an increase in cases of eczema, the skin condition that typically appears as a rash coming out in the fall quite often. People who get allergies are especially prone to eczema or psoriasis. While the rash can be itchy, it's usually treated with products over the counter or prescription topical agents at a pharmacy.
Mostly treated topically, and others with creams or ointments. You can certainly try over-the-counter steroid creams, over-the-counter moisturizers. For mild cases, they work quite well.
Dr. Scott Woods, who you just heard from there, says prescriptions are usually needed, however, for more severe cases. Once the rash is gone, if you use a steroid cream, he says, in the same area once or twice a week, studies show it can actually prevent some of these eczema reactions from coming back. In Waiting for Life today, making the decision to help others have a second chance at life. Network for Hope says last year they were able to enroll 100,000 people and have them registered to be organ, eye, and tissue donors. The organization encourages people to learn a little bit more about the process of organ donation. Officials also suggest that if you do sign up to be a donor, make sure you tell your family your wishes.
When you do register to be a donor, tell your family what your decision is. It's so important to have those conversations. So we just encourage people to learn more about the process.
Part of the reason for that is that your family members are the people who have to tell them in your situation that you're willing to be an organ donor. If you'd like more information, Network for Hope would love to have you reach out to them. Their number, 800-525-3456. In Look Good, Feel Better today, a warning if you're taking Wegovy or Ozempic. New study shows that you can regain the weight lost. A study recently presented at the meeting of Obesity Society found that more than half of patients who stopped taking GLP drugs regained the weight within a year. The analysis of data from more than 1.2 million patients found people with type 2 diabetes were more likely to persist using these medications than those without type 2 diabetes. Smoking as few as 2 cigarettes a day can lead to a 60% increase in death from any cause compared to non-smoking. That's according to a new study from Johns Hopkins. Study also says smoking just 100 cigarettes over the course of someone's lifetime may be enough to raise the risk for heart disease and early death. Researchers warn that cutting back on cigarette use may not be enough to actually reverse the harm. All right, coming up, it's tax season. Well, it will be soon. Hear why you should be aware of some of the important changes that could help you save money between now and the end of the year. Plus, we're going to be talking to Sarah and Elizabeth from the Ronald McDonald House. They are here to tell us what they bring to families and children receiving care in the hospital. It's all coming up on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Metro.
University of Cincinnati has received nearly $1 million in grant money to prevent obesity in infants. The National Institutes of Health awarded the grant to test a community-based intervention program which promotes healing and eating and feeding practices for young children up to a year old. Cincinnati Children's and the nonprofit Every Child Succeeds also collaborating in this program. It's called Healthy Eating for My Infant. Infants from lower income families have a higher risk for obesity, so this prevention effort is designed to address their needs. In your healthy rights, there are some changes to be aware of as we come to the end of the year when it comes to taxes. We believe that your money influences your health. So we recently talked to attorney and CPA Bill Hesch. He discussed some of these changes with us on last week's show. Hesch says starting in 2026, some taxpayers may be eligible to itemize deductions even if they typically use the standard deduction. So next year, some taxpayers could qualify for state and local tax deductions between $10,000 and $40,000 they don't even know about. Hesch says that even even though these changes aren't until next year, you should be aware of them now so you know whether to give this year or the next.
I might be itemizing next year because in the past I didn't, but now I am going to itemize because state and local taxes, I can deduct my real estate taxes and my income taxes, so I'll be itemizing.
So, sounds confusing, huh? You should talk to a tax professional if you are new to this and may need a little advice on what to itemize and what not to itemize. If you'd like to reach out to Bill, he can be reached at 513-731-6601. We also have a link to his practice. He's in Blue Ash and Oakley at what'shappeninginhealth.com. All right, on now to our team from the Ronald McDonald House. Hello.
Hi.
I don't think I've had anyone from your team on our show. It's an honor to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
So my name's Elizabeth. I'm the operations coordinator at the house. Every day looks a little bit different for me, but one of my biggest jobs is bringing in different items for the house and making sure that our families have what they need while they're staying with us.
So items like?
Snacks, toiletries, toys, all the fun stuff. It's a great job.
That's not a small job.
Yes, and my name is Sarah. I have been with the Ronald McDonald House for 14 years, and I am the Communications and Trauma-Informed Care Manager at the house, which means I do a lot of things, just like all of us in nonprofit, right? I work with the families, help share their stories, help make sure they feel seen and heard, and then work with our staff in Ronald McDonald Houses around the world to understand trauma and the impact of trauma.
Wow, that's no small thing because the trauma often isn't just about the illness. It's about everything that comes with it.
Absolutely. You know, if you work with people, you work with trauma. So everybody is dealing with something. And what we know for sure is that our families are coming in with at least an acute form of trauma of having kiddos diagnosed with critical illnesses. They've been told they need to leave their families far from home and travel to Cincinnati for expert medical care. And then they turn to our house for help. So regardless of what else they've had to deal with in their lives, this is a huge blow for them, and we are here. Our house, our actual building in Cincinnati welcomes 177 families every single night, and then some on a waiting list to be in our house and be taken care of.
Wow. So you were gracious enough to send us some photos for people not familiar with who and what and how your house works. I'm not sure who the right person is to talk about that, but just tell us a little bit because you kind of know they're there, but you may not know your mission.
Absolutely. So Cincinnati's Ronald McDonald House is essentially a home away from home for families who have critically ill children who need specialty care, and they cannot get that at home. They need to travel to our wonderful city and get the care they need. And our house gives them a private bedroom, bathroom, meals, snacks, activities, a community, and anything else they might need or don't even know they need yet when they show up to our house with a lot of fear and anxiety. And then we are there to greet them with them, you know, really just to be there to support them.
And while we're watching this video, we're seeing these wonderful snowflakes. So we wanted to have you here to talk about a couple campaigns you have going on for the holidays. What's up with the snowflakes?
So the snowflakes, a campaign we started about 5 years ago was simply just to have the city, or really anyone from around the world, understand that we're here and our families are here. They're not going home for the holidays. So we thought, have people just send us your name. All you have to do is send this very simple form. It just sends us your name, and we will write your name on a window cling that we hang all around our house. And it shows the families, the 177 families in our house, that all of these people they've never met care about them, even when they can't be home. So we want to surround them with support, a flurry of support. And these snowflakes, they stick on the windows and then the sun shines through and it actually makes it look like it's snowing inside. So when you're walking through our hallways, the shadows of snowflakes are really everywhere. So it's not just these, you know, the feeling of snow inside, it's just really a blanket of support.
Oh, that is very sweet. I know you offer these at either no or low cost services. So you said in addition to that, you have campaigns this time of year for some of the items that you mentioned. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we have an Amazon wish list that we update daily these days. And we put 3 of our biggest needed items that we need. So the first one is being individually packaged snacks. Those are really an important thing that we need and our families use. It's a great distraction for kiddos before a long day of appointments. Our snack bar is right on the pathway that they pass hundreds of times a day as they go to and from the hospital. So cookies, pretzels, all of that kind of stuff. And then we also have toiletry carts in all of our laundry rooms. So a family might, come to Cincinnati kind of last minute and run out of shampoo or conditioner or toothpaste. So we have that stuff available for them right away. We also have toys in our magical toy closet. We have a magic wand that opens those wonderful doors, and every time a family checks into their room, they get a toy closet ticket, and that allows patient but siblings as well to come down and pick out a toy. In that closet, it takes a lot to keep it stocked throughout the year, and then we also stock our holiday workshop at the end of the year, which allows parents to come and shop for their kids at the end of the year if they're staying with us during the holidays. So lots of different things. We need stuff. Everything has to be brand new, not expired, and we especially need stuff for our teenagers that are staying with us. They can be often the hardest to shop for. They love gift cards, especially our Amazon, Walmart, Target, and then our gaming systems. Don't know a lot about that personally, but Xbox, PlayStation, all that stuff that can kind of keep them connected to their friends at home, and they can play while they're staying with us.
Boy, has that changed a bit, because when you guys first started, you really couldn't stay connected. So you think about how that's really,
Yes, absolutely.
So we have a link to you, but if you could just kind of logistically say what's the best way to reach out, and what's where do you drop them, that kind of thing. Give us a few of those.
So on our website, rmhcincinnati.org, you can find our wish list and how to engage either in a group or with your family. You'll find the link to that wish list through Amazon. It's a very simple process. It looks just like your Amazon account, and you can get items sent directly to the house within 2 days. So we update that daily, and it's ready to go for you.
Oh, that's interesting. So if you have Prime, you can get it dropped off wherever you want.
Yep, exactly.
Getting smarter with these. All right. Well, as you mentioned, we have a link to the Ronald McDonald's House. What's the goal with the Snowflake campaign? How many?
We would love to get 10,000 this year. We are at about 6,000, and the Snowflake campaign, the last day to do that is Monday, the 24th. So, and really, people can just go to sendasnowflake.org. I'm telling you, it's very, very simple. You just send it, and after you submit that, when we're all finished and we hang the snowflakes, we're going to send you pictures so you can see it. That's one of the things. Our house it's such a tangible way to help. The snowflakes, they're there. Every item that is donated, absolutely free for our families, and it's something that you can count on will be given directly to somebody who needs it.
Well, we so appreciate what you do. It's life-changing. We know that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. Once again, if you'd like to donate a snowflake or any of these items, we'll put that full list at whatshappeninginhealth.com.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, do you rely on public transportation to get to work? Why there's a push for more of us to do this, just ahead. And Allison Polling's here from the American Heart Association. She's talking SERP and how it saves lives. Yeah, it's a fancy name for something really important. It's just ahead on What's Happening in Health.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Northern Kentucky Audiology.
In Healthy on the Go, the state of Ohio recently approved millions of dollars to enhance public transit in hopes of allowing more people who work in Ohio to consistently get to their jobs. The Federal Transit Administration reports that ridership in the U.S. is rising by about 17% annually. And that's part of the reason why Ohio is investing $13.5 million to increase accessibility. That investment is a part of the Ohio Workforce Mobility Partnership. ODOT says that the funds could be used to add more vehicles, build new bus hubs, hire more drivers. Hamilton County, one of 16 counties initially selected for this program. All right, on now to our wonderful friends of the American Heart Association. Remind us about you and who you are and what you do.
Yes, Allison Poling, friend of Liz, for a long time, talking about heart disease and stroke. I work at the American Heart Association.
Well, what you do is remarkable, and this week we found out you had a program that I think has been a secret for a very long time. We went out to the Reds Youth Academy, and they are teaming up with the Heart Association to help save lives. That organization, or this organization, refers to this as SERP, and it stands for Your Cardiac Emergency Response Plan. It's the kind of plan the team here at Ohio's Reds Youth Academy knew they needed.
A cardiac emergency response plan is actually a plan that establishes safety measures around cardiac arrest and heart-related emergencies on site.
To be prepared to interrupt any heart event for student athletes or staff. This AHA SERP training will help your team learn everything from the chain of survival to hands-only CPR.
This is a great initiative to kind of come to the academy, talk with our staff here, provide those resources, tools, and training for our employees.
Well, it may seem quite simple. Often in places where they have automated external defibrillators or AEDs, people don't know where to find them.
So if you see somebody experiencing cardiac arrest, just remember these 3 things. Call 911, get that help on the way, start really good compressions, and get an AED if there's one on site.
You see, 4 to 6 minutes after a cardiac arrest, brain damage can set in. So it's a time where, for everyone, seconds count. So what was so interesting to me about this program and why we wanted to follow up is it sounds like you individualize it to the place.
We do, because when you think of where you're at each day, and in this case, kiddos practicing their baseball, what would you do in that situation? And that would be my call to action for everyone that's watching your show, Liz, is think of where you're at all day, from your home to your kiddos' sports to at work. Would you know what to do if you needed to do CPR and get an AED? Would you know where it is? Would you know how to start the compressions? That's what we want to do, meet people where they are. And to your point, every place is different. And so do you know where it is when you go into work? Do you know where you would go grab the ambulance that came later? So just like kids know, you stop, drop, and roll, I know where to go during that fire drill. Good thing is fires aren't killing as many people, but cardiac arrest is that #1 thing that's killing folks out of the hospital. So knowing what to do in a cardiac emergency and practicing with a plan is key.
So it was interesting to me that you chose the Reds Academy, and you said you highlight some of the places of physical activity. Tell me about that.
Yes. So when you're doing sports or anything where you are exacerbating and doing exercise, cardiac arrest is also your #1 cause of death. And so we've gone from schools. We were working with schools for years and years. Now there are policies in place where schools do need to have a CERP and an AED and a plan. Now we're moving on to fields. And I just congratulate the Reds. They're the first in town of their kind to say this is really important to us and we want to do this. And so I'm very thankful. I'm thankful to TriHealth, who funded it, the Joel Cornett Foundation, who's funding another portion. We took it and specifically used their help to fund these. And our goal by 2030 is we will double survival rates from cardiac arrest. So I'll be sitting here with you again in 2030.
We don't need that.
I know, and we will have doubled survival rates. And we don't put a goal out unless we're going to get to the goal.
Right.
But,
so how do you evaluate like what a need is in a place like that?
So you literally walk around. Amanda, our staff member who is on the video, she is an expert in this, as are Project Adam, the Matthew Mangine Foundation. There's a lot of folks. It's our science, but a lot of folks are helping do this. You literally walk around. You want to be about a 3-minute walk to get an AED. So do you have enough? Do those who are on site day to day, do they know where they're at? And again, how would you do the chain of survival? Because the first 3 of the 6 parts of the chain of survival you showed on the screen, it's all bystander. It's 3 parts have to happen to then have professional help arrive and do their job well to save a life. So
and don't you track
really
that most cardiac events happen away from home?
Actually, yes and no. It's more of 70% of the time you will know who you're saving or be saved by someone you know very well. And actually in and around the home and a workplace are the higher prevalences.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so many stories of a kiddo who learned at school through our policies and then saves grandma who watches them in the afternoon. Or again, knows the steps. 911, you get an AED if it's available, and you start your compressions.
And I know that Amanda mentioned this, you kind of want to make this, if at every workplace and each thing, that it sort of becomes like you can't have no fire extinguishers.
It needs to be that. That's why we're doing so great with fires. There's about 30,000 a year fires, people dying from them, and 250,000. And so I'll put it into perspective. If you filled up the Red Stadium, for example, 14 times, that's how many people are dying each year of cardiac arrest.
In the United States or
in
worldwide?
the United States.
Woo, that's a lot of people.
I think of the humanity, the woohoo and bumping up, and how alive 14 times stadiums, and then they're all gone. And we actually know how to save them. So it's really exciting. We need everyone to know how to save a life.
We just need to share that message.
Yes.
Well, we know that if you'd like to learn about CERP training, the American Heart Association will invite you to reach out to them. You do this, as you said, you have funding, so you can help with costs.
Yes.
And that can make a really big difference. So if something you heard says, I need this where I work, please reach out to this wonderful team with the Heart Association at what'shappeninginhealth.com. We thank you.
Yeah, thank you for raising awareness. That's key.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys very much. All right, up next, aging gracefully, we call it, making sure that seniors are taken care of for life, and how a local organization is able to provide all levels of care for people as they age.
This portion of What's Happening in Health is sponsored by Mount St. Joseph University and Advanced Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center.
In Aging Gracefully, making sure that older adults have the care that they need for the rest of their lives. Twin Towers is a life plan community in College Hill. We recently got to see upgrades to that facility, including a new dining area, plus improvements to other common areas in the building. They also renovated a wing of assisted living apartments. Those who live there have access to all levels of care they may need, ranging from independent living to rehab, assisted living, and skilled nursing as well.
When you move into Twin Towers, you are investing in your future, and though you may very well outlive your resources, you will never be asked to move out of your home. So that's why it's called Life Plan Community. People will stay there for life.
If a resident outlives those resources, the organization has what they call benevolent care. It's a fund that kicks in and makes sure you can remain where you live without having to move again. If you'd like more information about life enriching communities, 877-532-1899. Well, that is it for this week. It's been an amazing one. We hope if you saw something on the show that appealed to your heart, you will reach out. We'll be back same time next week. We hope that you will be too. Until then, everybody, stay well and stay tuned.